So, good morning, friends. Today we are starting our NCERT Class 8 Geography, and this is Chapter 1 named as Resources. Resources. What are resources? Substances that have some utility, value, and used by human beings and useful for human beings or living organisms. For living organisms. Utility, value, importance. Utility have some useful value, usefulness. They are resources. So there are two types of resources. First is the natural resource. Derived from nature. They are derived from nature. There are two types. Renewable. Renewable means which is replenished by earth from time to time. By earth, yeah, by nature from time to time. Non-renewable, which is not replenished by nature. Not replenished. Like fossil fuels. Once they are exhausted, they are gone. Next is human made, which is made by human made by using natural resources, made by human by using natural resources. They are made by knowledge, skill, resources, human is also a natural resource. Human is also a resource. By educating it, we can make human being a resource. By teaching it skill, conserving resources. Resources are an important aspect of our life, so human beings should take steps to conserve them. And one concept comes here: sustainable development. Sustainable development. It means utilizing the resources to meet the present generation without impacting it for the future use. Impacting it for the use of future generation. So here we have our chapter 1. Thank you. So we have our second chapter, chapter 2. which is named as land, soil, water, natural vegetation, and wildlife. So we have our first topic, that is land. The first fact which goes with land is 90% of world's population occupies only 30% of land. The remaining 70% is forest, other forest, grounds, etc. Deserts, land use. We use land for different purposes, like for making houses, for making factories, for for making highways, roadways, mining. So that is used as land use. Common property land. Land which is used for public purpose, owned by public, used for public purposes like parks, museums, etc. Public purpose are used as common property land. Land is an important resource, so there is an effort to and with degradation of plants, The next topic is soil. When land is weathered, or rocks are weathered, weathering of rocks result in formation of soil. They are carried by a river in the form of sediments and deposited and get deposited at another place. That is called soil. There are 5 factors. The first is parent rock. The soil derived from a rock like igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. Its physical and chemical properties, color, texture depends on that. Second is chemical properties, color, texture, mineral content depends on this. Next is climate. Temperature, rainfall influence the rate of weathering. Temperature, rainfall. Next is relief, slope, altitude. Determine the accumulation of soil. Next is time. The time to which the process is expanded, and it determines the thickness of soil. Flora, fauna, and microorganisms. Determines the rate of humus. Often in human interruptions, soil is getting degraded. Intervention results in degradation of soil. Now, methods of soil conservation. Conservation methods. First is mulching. What is mulching? The ground is covered with a layer of organic matter like straw. Covered with organic matter like straw. Helps in retention of soil moisture. Next is contour barriers. Stone, grass and soil are used to build barriers along contours, like trenches forming to collect water. Next is rock dam. To slow down the flow of water, so that water should not erode the soil. To slow down, it results in gullies, rail formation and gullies. Next is terrace farming, basically practiced on the mountain slopes. Flat surface staircase farming, just like staircase. Intercropping. Alternative crop rows to protect soil from rainwash. Contour plugging. Parallel plugging. And next is shelter belts. Like we plant trees across the agricultural land or to check the movement of air to prevent soil erosion. Check movement of air. Prevent soil erosion. Next important element is water. As we all know, water is in abundance, but it is salty water in the ocean. Only we have 2.7% of fresh water on this planet, and in which majority is covered in ice caps. Of 2.7%, 70% is in ice caps. Humans need water for living, for sustaining their life. So we have several problems, like in desert area there is a water scarcity problem. So because desert, the rate of evaporation is high, so there is dearth of water. Water is not there in the lakes. They don't have lakes, they have lakes that contain salty water. The next topic is conservation. Adequate methods of farming. Method of irrigation. Drip irrigation, sprinkle irrigation. In India, farmers basically practice rain-fed irrigations, in which the water is lost so much. The rate of exhaustion of water is very high. So we can use these methods: drip irrigation, sprinkle irrigation. Water seepage to be reduced. Rainwater harvesting to be practiced, so that rainwater can be collected and we can use it for the human consumption. Rainwater harvesting. Afforestation. Afforestation helps in increasing soil moisture, because the root nodules of the trees hold the moisture. Now the next topic is natural vegetation and wildlife. As we have studied in previous books, what is biosphere? There is a narrow zone of contact between lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. We call it biosphere. Hydrosphere, atmosphere, and lithosphere. Land, air and water. And what is ecosystem? The interaction between the biotic and abiotic components is called ecosystem. All organisms are interrelated and interdependent. So they form an ecosystem. Like there is now we have next topic, distribution of natural vegetation. There is an adequate amount of distribution of natural resources. Some areas get heavy rain, some areas get deficient rain, some has rich forest like the Amazon forest, some have deficiency in forest like the desert areas. So we have area wise categorization of the distribution. We have tundra vegetation in the upper colder regions. Near the equator we have equatorial forest. We have evergreen forest. In desert we have dry. So we have different places, we have different category of vegetation. So conservation of natural vegetation and wildlife is necessary, because if there is a balance maintained between these resources, so that will help in the sustainability of the life on this earth. So we have our chapter 1 and 2. Thank you so much.